this morning. So this is a common session organized by UCSD and EPFL. This is a very first for us to have a common presentation, and it's great because it's an opportunity also for students to communicate among each other. So that's really, we're really excited about this. So today we have an hour session, and we will start with a short presentation of EPFL by myself, and then I have the pleasure to welcome here with us tonight Courtney Giordano, who will also be making a short presentation about UCSD. And we have the chance and the pleasure to have with us Professor Herman, the Associate Dean for Education from the Division of Physical Sciences at UCSD, and as well Professor Dyson, the Dean of the School of Basic Sciences at EPFL, and they will be presenting most specifically their division or school, as this partnership is targeted to physical sciences and basic sciences. And with us, we have also several advisors from UCSD and EPFL. So we have here a bunch of people who will be able to answer all of your questions. And we will have plenty of time after the presentations to turn to questions. And with that, I'm gonna share my screen to start the presentation. There we go. Can you see my screen properly? Great. So I will start by a short presentation of EPFL. So first, a little bit of geography. Switzerland is at the heart of Europe, and it's quite convenient if you want to travel around while you study here. It's very close to most of the main capitals of Western Europe, about 2 hours by plane. Lausanne, where EPFL is located, is in the western part of Switzerland, where we speak French. We have different languages in Switzerland, but here we do speak French. Although in Lausanne, a lot of people do speak English, and on campus, everybody speaks English. So here you have a picture of our campus. And as you can see, is that it's at the shores of a lake. It's called Lake Geneva. And you can also see that we are very close to mountains. So you can reach a mountain here within an hour for hiking, skiing, any outdoor activity. Is a paradise for that here in Switzerland. Also, it's known for being the Olympic capital. Maybe a quick word on Lausanne. So it's a town, especially in US standards. So we have 150,000 inhabitants, but by the size of it, I would say it's quite lively in the sense that you have an offer in restaurants, museums, clubs, bars, etc. So a nice place to study, but it's a small town. Regarding EPFL, so EPFL is the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne, and it has 3 missions. The first one is education. So it offers bachelor, master, and PhD programs in science, engineering, and architecture. So we're really a targeted institution in science, engineering, and architecture, not a comprehensive one like UCSD. The second mission of EPFL is research. So we host close to 370 labs at EPFL with top faculty from all over the world. Again, the research is undertaken in science, engineering, and architecture, and with a very strong publication rate and a high citation rate as well. And the third mission is innovation, so translating all of the research undertaken into innovation, translating it to society and the economy. We have about 25 startups created each year. A quick snapshot of EPFL as of today. So we have over 11,000 students, 350 faculty, and this is the structure of of EPFL. So I'll turn to the next slide to give you a closer look. So we have 5 schools at EPFL. The first one is the School of Architecture, Civil and Environmental Engineering, the School of Engineering, the School of Computer and Communication Systems, and the School of Life Sciences and Technology. The last school, the 5th school, is the school of interest to you, is the School of Basic Sciences, and it hosts 3 departments: mathematics, chemistry, and physics. And you would be registered in one of those departments. Sorry. Ranking is not everything, but still I just wanted to show you this ranking for 2021, the QS World University Rankings. And for chemistry, we are at the 10th place, and overall with QS, we are at the 14th place. Now, what's in it for you if you come as an exchange student at EPFL? So first you have to be selected by UCSD. In terms of credit, we work with ECTS credit, so European, the European system, and we would require you to take 20 ECTS. 30 ECTS is the load that EPFL students take per semester, but I would say it can be a heavy load for exchange students. You can come for one semester or one academic year, depending on the requirements from UCSD. In terms of procedure, so the most important is that you look at the application deadlines with UCSD to make sure that you apply on time and that you follow the application procedure. I also wanted to mention that the visa procedure can take up to 3 months, so please factor that in so you make sure that you have your visa on time to start the academic year without problems. And we guarantee accommodation, not on campus because we don't have a lot of accommodation on campus. We do have a few, but at least in Lausanne. A quick word on courses. So if you have to retain something of this slide, is this email, this web address, because that's where you will have all of the information on courses. At the bachelor level, it's in French, mainly, I said, but actually we have a growing number of courses in English, and in some, I had a quick look at mathematics, chemistry, and physics, and we do have a relatively large offer there, so I'm sure you can find what you would need. And also you can access master level courses, provided you have the prerequisites, and there all of the courses are in English. We don't require French language for you to come. We advise you to have some knowledge. If you take only classes in English, then I think you're fine. If you're taking classes in French, you would need a minimum of understanding of French. We do offer a 3 weeks intensive class before the semester starts. So that's also a way for you to have some French knowledge when you come. And also one important thing is you can take some projects that are credited during your semester alongside classes. There's also for UCSD students the opportunity to have a research internship at EPFL. It's a very selective process, but if you are selected, you receive a scholarship of excellence that will cover your main cost of living. And we actually welcomed this year, it's the first students from this partnership over the summer, and I think he had a great time here. And my last slide is what can you expect outside the classroom? So we have many associations on campus, and one of them is dedicated to exchange students. So that's a good way to start your year here. And they have a lot of really fun events. There are also associations where you can meet local people. So local students, I mean, so just have a look, whatever you're interested in, you will probably find it. We have a great sports facility, well, at least in European standards, because in the US, I know you have also very excellent facilities, but it's right by the lake and there are about 130 sports. Most of them are free. They're included in your student card. Some of them you might have to pay a fee, but a really large offer. Also, we are about 15 minutes away from city center, and you can reach city center with the metro, which comes right on campus. We have about 30 catering spots on campus, and that offers all sorts of different foods. And finally, as we are a real campus, it is quite lively. You might hear the piano playing behind me. I have some students in the place behind playing piano, but we have actually, this is a picture of one of the largest student festival in Europe, and it's called Balélec, and that's a really great place to go if you come during that period for an exchange. So that's with that, I come to an end, and I'm happy to answer any questions after the full presentation. And now I will pass the floor to Courtney, who will be presenting to you UCSD. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natasha. I feel like I have a big shoes to fill. That was a great presentation. So similar to your campus, you're beautifully situated on Lake Geneva. We're also beautifully situated by a body of water. Ours is slightly larger. We're on the bluffs of the Torrey Pine Mesa overlooking the Pacific Ocean. So on the screen here, you'll see this pier is our Scripps Institution of Oceanography research pier. So it's a functional research pier. Excuse me. And on the campus, one thing that's kind of anecdotally funny, as we were talking at the beginning of this session about our weather, the weather can vary from the west end of campus that's near the ocean to the eastern side of campus. So sometimes you need to dress in layers. Like I see Max has his scarf on. He's a little bit further towards the center of campus. So and if the marine layer comes, then you should watch out. Our campus is very large. It's about 1,200 acres. And we have beautiful eucalyptus groves and art installations throughout. So it's a very peaceful place to walk and take lunch outside, since we have over 300 days of sunshine per year. So rankings, the Shanghai rankings, we've been ranked 18th for the last few years, but we're also ranked the US News and World Report as the 8th best public university and 21st best public university, or excuse me, university in the world. But something I'd like to say is I had the pleasure of visiting EPFL a couple of years ago pre-pandemic. And despite some of our differences in the size of our institutions, we have so many similarities in how we approach science and research and innovation, more so than almost any campus I've ever visited. And so I think that our students would have similarly a lot to gain from participating in this program. Oops, I went the wrong way. There we go. We are a huge research operation. We produce about $1.45 billion in sponsored research funding each year, ranking at 6th in the United States. But this is to say that there's a lot of opportunities for students who come on the exchange to take courses and participate in research opportunities. We have a number of organized research units, which are cross-disciplinary research operations. And then there are also a number of faculty labs within the Division of Physical Sciences, which Professor Herman will touch on later. As I mentioned, we're a very large campus. We have over 10,000 international students alone. So there's a huge international community on our campus. But even in addition to that, our enrollment has reached almost 45,000. We're at about 42,875 as of our week 3 enrollment. And you can see the breakdown, the bulk of which are undergraduate students. But again, very large campus. However, we have a college system, which helps make it feel a little bit more, a little bit smaller. There are different residential communities, and then obviously the departments, the academic departments are also a home away from home. So here's a breakdown of our international student snapshot. You can see where our students are coming, our top sending countries and the departments. For undergraduate, you can see math is one of our most popular majors for the campus at large, not just for international students. So is chemistry and biochemistry. And to continue on, we have 8 academic divisions, as you can see on the screen. But in addition to those academic divisions, we have some professional schools that include the School of Global Policy and Strategy, the Rady School of Management, and then some additional professional programs at our school, our Health Sciences, School of Medicine, Pharmacy, and our relatively new Public Health. So there are a lot of majors and programs across campus. And I would like to turn it over now to my colleague Andra, if your voice is able to hold up.
We'll see how I do.
Okay, sounds good.
So for all of you who are interested in joining us at UCSD, and then for our UC San Diego students who are interested in EPFL, first stop would be globalexchange.ucsd.edu. We have navigation that you can select based on if you're coming to us or headed over to EPFL. All the questions that you may have about application dates, the program dates, required documents, all that can be found here. So we'll head to the next slide. I think we skipped one. Here we are. And so Max has done a really wonderful job of filling this website with tons of resources. So I highly recommend unpacking each drawer and taking a look at all of the information available. Many of the questions that you may have right now can be answered probably here at this website. And then you can, of course, reach out to either myself or Coralie at EPFL with additional questions. So everything from what are the other institutional options available? What are the actual nomination and application deadlines? What are the term dates? What are housing information and the cost of living? What does that look like? And then what should you be doing regarding your visas? So definitely visit that site. And then in terms of nomination and application deadlines, so for those of you who are on this call and are considering this coming fall 2022, you need to be nominated by your home campus or UCSD by February 15th, and then complete your Global Exchange Program application by March 1st. So keep that March 1st date in mind. That will be here before we know it. And then if you're thinking about winter or spring, you've got a bit more time, but certainly mark these dates on your calendar so that you can get your application in on time. And if you're interested at all, please reach out to us so that we can start this conversation, get your questions answered, speak to your academic advisors and determine if this is a good fit for you and how this is going to fit into your overall 2 or 4 year plan at your university. For our incoming students, visiting students from EPFL, the required documents for the application will be your evidence of English proficiency, and the types of tests that we do accept are linked via this site, so you can check that out. Of course, a copy of your passport biodata page, super important, your unofficial academic transcript, and then your proposed enrollment course. And so we do have resources there to guide you in selecting course options at UCSD. Natasha told us earlier that it's 10 ECTS is equivalent to 6 UC quarter units. So for both students on both sides, if you're looking at courses, 10 ECTS is about 6 UC quarter units when you're selecting courses. And you should be checking with your home institution's academic advisor to determine which courses are the best fit for you and if this program option is going to work for you. I don't believe we have any graduate students a part of this cohort, but for our students on either side, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. That's my email address. My name is Andra Jacques, and I would be just thrilled to help you throughout this process.
Thank you, Andra. And thank you, Natasha. Now I'd like to turn it over to Professor Thomas Herman, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the academic side of the house. Professor Herman?
Well, thank you, Courtney, for the introduction, and welcome everyone. I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see my slides here? Perfect. So as Courtney mentioned in the introduction, I'm serving as the Associate Dean for Education and Students at UC San Diego in the Division of Physical Sciences. So physical sciences are the organization is very similar to the EPFL, that the physical sciences include chemistry and biochemistry in one department, mathematics and physics. And as Courtney mentioned, we are a very large university. The physical sciences represent just over 10% of the students. So we have about 4,300 undergraduate students and just over 720 graduate students, which study in master's or PhD programs. To break it down further, you can see that our largest enrollment is in mathematics, where we have about 2,300 undergraduate students currently, whereas our largest graduate program is in the master's and PhD program in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. But more important than those enrollment numbers, I believe, is the number of faculty associated with these departments in our division. You can see we have fairly large departments with over 60 faculty each in chemistry, biochemistry, mathematics, and physics. And that's really important because most of these faculty are research active. They have research labs or research projects, and they accept undergraduate students and graduate students for research internships and obviously for the graduate program. To give you a flavor of the breadth of research that's going on, in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, the research aligns very much with the course offerings, and it falls in a number of different tracks that cover analytical and atmospheric chemistry, biochemistry, the more traditional directions such as inorganic, organic, and physical chemistry, but also chemical biology and theoretical and computational chemistry. I should also mention that not only in chemistry and biochemistry, but also in the other departments, we have active collaborations with the School of Engineering, Bioengineering, Chemical Engineering, as well as the Medical School and School of Pharmacy. So a lot of the research that's going on is actually geared towards the life sciences and information technology. And I will say a little bit more about the infrastructure of local companies that take interns in a minute. Mathematics, as you can see, we have applied and pure mathematics, as well as statistics, computational science, and also data science. And in physics, we have a very strong specialization in biophysics, neurosciences, and quantitative biology, as well as in astronomy. Now, one of the questions that I've seen that have been asked about research opportunities. Now, obviously, graduate students do research for their thesis, but for undergraduate students, for shorter periods of time, there's ample opportunity to perform research in faculty groups and in faculty labs. So the simplest is to work as a research intern, which is a very informal process where someone can work on a flexible number of hours in the faculty's lab or with the faculty on a problem. We also have a course framework there that is called Special Studies Course 199. It's actually not a lecture course, but it is really spending time as a research intern in a faculty's lab. This will also provide academic credit. Now, the 199 special studies can be done in either of the departments, chemistry, biochemistry, mathematics, or physics. And the research content will depend on what is available by the individual faculty. We also have a competitive program for summer research award fellowships, where we provide the cost of living and some extra money for a period of 10 weeks over the summer to perform research with faculty. And we also help students to find industry internships to perform research at one of the local companies. San Diego is one of the 3 large biotech and research clusters in the United States, in addition to Boston, San Francisco. San Diego is the 3rd largest cluster. And just as it comes to pharma, life science, and biotech companies, we have about 600 of them just in the local vicinity, and most of them are taking student interns. Now, before I end, I want to make you aware of one specific type of infrastructure that we have built over the last years that we call the Student Success Center. And I'm advertising that because I'm also the faculty director who built up this Student Success Center. I mentioned already the internships, both in academia at the university, but also in companies. So the Student Success Center can help you to find those internships depending on your schedule. So if you want to do more, we can find something for that. If you have only a few hours per week, we can find something as well. We also help you to connect with alumni in mentoring programs and roundtables. We have industry panels, so industry representatives coming to the university and talking to students, recruitment events, career counseling, and most importantly, in the physical sciences alone, we have about 18 student clubs and organizations that range from diversity organizations all the way to pre-professional societies that help you get started with your career in the physical sciences. And these organizations and all the services of the center are open both for undergraduate and graduate students. And I think I leave it here. Thanks for your attention, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions either after this presentation or also by email. And I'll turn it back to Natasha.
Thank you very much, Professor Herman, for this very thorough and interesting presentation. A lot of information there. I have the pleasure now to give the floor to Professor Dyson, the Dean of our School of Basic Sciences at EPFL, and he will be presenting the school in more details to all of you. Professor Dyson, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a message that you've disabled me from being able to participate my screen, but without being able to share my screen, if you're unable to fix it, I think I can give you a brief overview anyway of what we do. So, of course, there are many parallels between EPFL and your own school. We have about half the number of faculty in total, but we have 3 institutes. We firstly need to think about the way we name things here at the EPFL. So we don't have departments, but we have institutes which are really responsible for research, but closely linked to sections, and the sections are responsible for the teaching. So it's really impossible for me to go through the content of all our courses. On my slides, I was showing the web links, but I'm sure if you search the subject that you're interested in, whether that's math, we have a section for math, physics, and slightly differently, we have chemistry combined with chemical engineering. But although you may not be taking chemical engineering, what you find is that the difference between chemistry and chemical engineering actually becomes closer and closer. It involves a lot of nanoscience, and some of these courses might be of interest to you. So as you'll notice when you search through courses, many are in French at the bachelor level, but there's also a large selection of courses in English. When it comes to examinations, we have both written examinations and occasionally for some courses, oral examinations. Again, this is listed clearly in the course content, the type of examination you can expect. You can use English to answer exams irrespective of the language of the course. In fact, you're able to answer exams in any of the Swiss national languages, so that includes German and Italian. For some of the professors, we're not quite so proficient in all those languages. So if it's not in English and it's not in French, we would ask you to warn us in advance if it's an oral examination, at least, so we can bring a colleague into the room to help us.
I'm sorry, Professor Dyson. I think that you're able to share your screen, I've been told.
Okay, good.
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
this.
No, that's okay. I will very quickly skip through the slides then. So as I was saying, section is responsible for teaching. So you should look, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, on the left-hand side.
I don't think we can see your screen for the moment. Sorry.
Okay. I will try again.
There we go. It's
Is
coming.
that any better?
Perfect. Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
So once again, you should look at our sections for the content of our courses. In maths, we cover pure maths, applied maths, a lot of mathematics, very close to computer science, and we're also launching a master program in statistics. So from our master program upwards, everything is in English exclusively. It's only the bachelor program where there's a mixture of courses in French and in English. But although I'm showing the master content here, this is very similar to the bachelor content. So you see these main thematics anyway. And then if you're interested in doing research projects, you would go to the Institute of Mathematics, which is basically the Department of Mathematics web pages, and you would see a list of the different domains that are covered. You would see a list of the professors, and really you would write to the professors explaining that you would be interested in doing some research with them. Some professors may not be able to host you because their labs may be full for one reason or another. Others may be able to host you. So there's no guarantee that you would be able to do a research project with the professor of your choice, but one would hope that you would be able to get some research experience. We're very much a research-led university, and all our faculty are actively engaged in research. If we look at physics, you can see again the main domains, perhaps no surprise, a lot of growth in recent activity in quantum physics. So this is a new program. We have new professors come in next year as well who will be teaching within this program. If you want to study nuclear engineering, then there's some sort of selection because Switzerland doesn't want to be responsible for nuclear proliferation. So depending on your passport, you may have to have some sort of review to check that you're not going to start producing weapons of mass destruction. But that's the only course on campus where there's any kind of concern related to security. And again, if we look at, or if you quickly look, you can see the main research themes in our Department of Physics, which we call our Institute of Physics, covering many different topics. It's, again, as I said, impossible to tell you in too much detail. We go from really the Big Bang, the creation of the universe, through to every single sort of time scale, distance scale, you know, from subatomic particles through to the entire universe. So it's very difficult to give great details out. And then in our chemistry and chemical engineering program, our teaching is mainly within two lines: one, molecular chemistry, which includes biological chemistry, and then the other in chemical engineering and biotechnology. And our research is divided into both the traditional subject areas and also other topics such as renewable energy, chemical biology. Once again, you can find the details of the courses, the languages they're in, the examination type, whether it's an oral exam or written exam, all on the web pages. For teaching, we're largely centered at the campus that you were shown earlier on the shore of Lake Geneva, but we also have strong activities elsewhere in Switzerland. We have professors based at CERN, using the collider when it's in operation. We have at the north of Switzerland an institute called the Paul Scherrer Institute, which has light sources and beamlines, synchrotrons, free electron laser, that type of thing. So some students are interested in going and doing a project working with a free electron laser or a visit to CERN to see the facility. We also have a small observatory between Lausanne and Geneva, and another observatory in Chile. But again, the one in or near Lausanne is for teaching purposes. We really are a polytechnique. So in addition to practical lecture courses, there's a lot of practical courses. We believe strongly that students should be trained on the latest instrumentation. I think based on time, that's where I should conclude. I think I've covered the main points, because not only do we operate partly in a different language, although on campus essentially in English, but we have a slightly different structure to most universities with institutes and sections instead of departments. But I think when you go to the websites, everything hopefully is quite straightforward. And there are people here to answer questions either now or at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dyson, for your presentation. And I think that now we can turn to questions and answers. I think we do have a lot of questions already coming in. So maybe we'll start with the first one that I see here. I'm a UCSD undergrad wanting to head to EPFL for fall. I wanted to know what is the criteria to get selected for the program, and how many people you select. Is it on a first come, first serve basis? I imagine that would be Courtney or Max answering.
Actually, I'm going to ask Andra to say.
Oh, Andra, sorry.
I will give the very best response that I can, having been in this role for 2 weeks. We'll start with interest, because we want to make sure we have a good understanding how many students are actually interested. So if you're interested, I would encourage you to reach out to me and get started with the process so we can begin tracking. We'll also have you probably go ahead and start the Tritons Abroad application. So that's on our end, on the UC San Diego end. That way we can get your application pieces submitted and we can sort of evaluate how many students we have interested in and interested in the program and sort of where students are at in their studies. And we'll likely involve the academic departments here to guide us in on how we select students. Courtney or Max, do we have a number that we can say publicly yet?
So the number varies depending on students identifying how long they want. If, for example, if a student goes for a semester versus a year, or if they do the research internship program over the summer, that all factors into our total number of spots available. But in the event that there's more interest or demand than we are able to nominate, that EPFL is able to accommodate, we would lean on the center faculty to help us evaluate the applications and nominate students based on a holistic review. I know Professor Herman has faculty across the division that help review those applications and make the nominations.
So feel free to reach out to me via the VAC if you're a UC San Diego student and have an advising appointment if you would like. And then you can actually go ahead and start the application in Tritons Abroad, and we'll be in touch with you from there.
Thank you. I have a next question, which is how are courses at EPFL translated into UCSD credits? I'm looking at the list of courses in English, and there are so many. So I think which is great, what Courtney said just now in terms of conversion of credits, that's what I found, but you have to check with your academic advisor. I'm speaking to my EPFL students, but I guess it's the same for UCSD students. So they would be the one telling you what's the exact conversion. So once you have this conversion, I think you can have a look at the list of courses that we offer in English, and there you have the credits. As Professor Dyson, you have all of the information, the language teaching, as well as exams, but also credits. So with that, I think, and knowing the conversion rate that your academic advisor would tell you, you can build a curriculum.
I think for our UC San Diego students, it's also worth pointing out that these would be elective courses, and the credit would come back as transfer credit on your transcript. So that's something to consider as well. Oh, sorry, did you want to?
Sorry, I just put down the link where you can find all of the information in terms of studies. That's the link on the EPFL website, and there you have the full list of classes per domain, but also a list of English taught classes. So you have both. So that's really helpful for exchange students usually. And also restricted classes. We have a few. Limited, but still, you might want to have a look at that as well.
Thank you, Natasha. I'm going to direct the next question to Professor Herman. Morgan says, for the sake of my environment blasting 20 times pop music, what would the recommended GPA be for acceptance into the program, specifically for a physics major?
That's hard to say, because what we like to think that we use holistic criteria where the GPA is just really one of the numbers. And I can't really give you a lower limit for that. So I assume that you're doing well in your studies right now, so that should be probably good enough, but I can't tell you exactly a number, because we really look at the student as the whole package.
Is this, I don't know if this question was specific to courses, an exchange for courses, or for maybe the research internship program?
So
okay. It seems that you have received the answers that you needed. Okay, great.
Okay,
We can go to the next questions. How should I choose courses at EPFL to make sure those I select will help me progress in my physics major? So that's probably also a question for Professor Herman.
Again, I can defer to the fact that I'm a chemist. I have less knowledge about the physics. So this is really best to talk with your advisor, because I am not really familiar with most of the, certainly not the courses at EPFL, and less so with the courses in physics. There's many of them. But I do want to mention, I've seen in the pre-submitted questions, there were questions about what courses we offer. I can paste a link for the chemistry department, but you can find for each department, when you go to their websites, a list of all the courses. And what might be important is that the list is what we call the catalog, which are all the courses that are offered during an academic year. But we are on a quarter system of 10 weeks each. And so not every quarter, every course will be offered. So you will typically find for each department 2 links. One of them is the catalog. These are all the courses. And one of them is the offering for the upcoming quarter.
I'll just jump in for UC San Diego students as part of your Tritons Abroad application process. There is a form called the academic planning form, and that's where you'll list the courses you're hoping to take at EPFL. You'll attach the syllabi and then have a conversation with your academic advisor to determine if those courses are a good fit for you and will help you with progress towards your degree. You'll then, those courses, as Courtney said, will then come in as transfer credit, but you can have that conversation with your advisor to seek guidance on if that's a good course selection for you.
And that's in fact the same for EPFL students. They should go to the academic advisor, academic exchange advisor, to work on the learning agreement, as we call them here. There's a question on the research internship program, so I'm gonna pop in the link here. So basically, you will have to be nominated by UCSD to be able to apply to our program, and it's opened. You will have to have completed 2 years at UCSD to be able, and when you start the internship, to be able to be eligible. And what we propose is that you choose 3 labs of your choice. So depending on your which department you are in at UCSD. And if you are selected, we would place you in one of those labs. If it doesn't work with those 3 first labs, we would continue with another 3 others. And usually this works pretty well. It's quite selective, or it's very selective, I should say. But if you are selected, you receive a scholarship of excellence of 1,600 Swiss francs per month. And this will help you cover, I would say, the main costs of living here. If you have any other questions, you can always ask them now or later to me, no problem. I will also put my email address in the chat. What is the COVID situation like at EPFL? So maybe generally in Switzerland, we've had a quite loose, I would say, way of dealing with COVID compared to other countries. But at EPFL now, to come on campus, you have to have a COVID pass. So either being vaccinated or being tested to enter the classes. Classes have mostly started again in person, though there are some classes online. Professor Dyson, correct me if I'm wrong, because you would be probably more familiar with what's going on in the classroom, but that's more or less the rules now for EPFL students.
Yeah, that's correct.
And in Switzerland, you also need a COVID pass. That means vaccinated or a test if you want to go basically anywhere, restaurants, museums, etc. Is there any prerequisite class for the lab, for example? I'm interested in math lab at EPFL. The topic is quite new to me, thus I wonder, should I study ahead for the topic? So when we make the selection, we look at your transcript, but we also look at if you have any experience, research experience. We look really at your full profile. What you have to bear in mind is that you will be selected by a committee, but then you will have to be accepted by the lab. So the lab will surely look at if your profile is adequate and would fit with the research that is undertaken in the lab. So it might be useful if you think that you need to work on some specific themes, then that would help your application, then that could be a good idea, because they do actually, labs do, or professors do look at the profile of applicants to see if it fits. It's a good fit, it's a good match. So now I have a question for you on the COVID situation at UCSD.
I just dropped a link into the chat. It has a dashboard that shows kind of live time, our numbers, if we have breakthrough cases, that sort of thing. But students are required to be vaccinated by one of the World Health Organization vaccines. In general, throughout all of COVID, UC San Diego had a much lower case rate than all of California and much of the United States. So we've had we were able to stay open throughout the entire pandemic with students living on campus and some in-person courses. So I was on campus yesterday, or day before yesterday. It's very lively, but there is masking still in place. And again, the vaccine is mandatory.
I've also put a link on information on COVID at EPFL for those, and that's also updated on a regular basis. Are the research internships only during the summer? Mostly during the summer, but it doesn't have to be during the summer. So it can be at another moment, and if the lab is interested and has some availabilities outside the summer, it is possible.
But Natasha, can you clarify that the funded program, is that only during the summer? Because there's a difference, right, between students who come on exchange and want to do a research component and the funded program.
Correct, yes. Thanks for pointing that out. So if you do a full-time research internship, it can be in the summer, but it can be at another moment. If that's possible for you, that has to be also checked with you on your side at UCSD. If you would like to undertake some research during your exchange, so during your semester, you can take classes, but it's also possible to take projects that are credited. You would have to find yourself a professor that is willing to accept you in his or her lab, and you will get some and agree on a project, and you would get some credits for that. That is possible to do alongside classes during a semester. The other program is usually in the summer, but we have already accepted students outside the summer. And this is really full-time, so usually 3 to 4 months full-time research in a lab. And this is funded. The other one is not funded. It's credited, but not funded during the semester. Is the research internship program separate from the E3 summer at EPFL programs? So the research internship program is a central program, and the other one is faculty programs. But in short, as a student from UCSD, you would have to apply to our program. So all of the other programs would redirect your application to us anyways, because it's part of the partnership. So it's best to apply to us first. I think, Andrea, you would like to, yeah.
Derek, excuse me, Derek asked, in what year do most students at UCSD apply to the program? And first of all, this is a new program, so you may be among the first cohort to participate, which is wonderful. You are eligible in your junior and senior year. So if you are a current sophomore, you'd be applying this year in your sophomore year to study in your junior year. But I want to clarify for everyone, many of you will have junior standing really early on in your career at UCSD. And I think what's more important than your actual class standing is where you are in your learning or in your studies within your field of study. And I'm sure Professors Herman and Dyson can add a bit more into this. Have you completed your lower division requirements? How far into your core requirements are you? Are you actually meeting the prerequisites for the upper division courses at EPFL, that would be something to take into consideration if you feel you're ready to be successful in those upper division courses at EPFL. So that's something to have a conversation with your advisors about as well. Even if you have junior standing early on in your sophomore year, you may not quite feel ready yet to take those courses.
I'm just checking at the list of questions that we have received beforehand.
I think we did receive a question. I'm a UCSD undergrad student from the biology department. Will there be research opportunities related to biology?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So I noticed that question. So within our Faculty of Basic Sciences, we do have chemical biology and also biophysics where you can look, but in principle, you can do research in any of the other faculties. And we have a Faculty of Life Sciences. The main thematics are cancer research, infectious diseases, bioengineering, which is very interesting because it's a rather unique program. And there's a lot of neurobiology research of one type or another. But again, if you go to the Life Science faculty web pages, you'll find all the information you need. But in principle, if you can find a professor who's willing to host you in their laboratory, then you could do a project or research internship with any professor in any of our faculties.
Thank you very much. Just for the research internship program, that's exactly the case. You can basically choose 3 labs all across EPFL. And so, yeah, it's really, really flexible. I think we do have a question on French classes. I reckon you meaning, besides the 3-week summer French classes. Coralie will be responding to this question. Thank you.
So you're also welcome to take part in a French class during the semester, given that there are enough spots left. So the intensive French courses that are offered in the summer before the semester starts is guaranteed. However, the courses that are during the semester, sometimes the places are already taken by our students. They have priority. That's because we have many international students. And if they're spots left, students are welcome to register in those French classes.
Thank you. Great. Maybe one thing I'm not sure we touched upon that, Courtney. You will be paying your tuition fees at your home institution, because there's been a couple of questions on costs, I think, in the previous questions that were submitted before the session. So you pay your tuition fees at your home institutions, but you don't pay tuition fees at the host institution. You might have to pay some fees. It's not the case at EPFL, Coralie, correct me if I'm wrong. They don't have any administrative fee to pay. I'm not sure how it is at UCSD, if they would have to pay some kind of admin fees. Our students?
Your students paying admin fees at UC San Diego? I do not believe so, only the visa processing fee.
Okay.
I could speak a little bit more to that. So yeah, so for UC San Diego, yeah, tuition is, as Natasha and others have said, you pay your tuition to your home university. However, in the US, you do have to pay for your student health insurance. That is automatically billed upon your enrollment. You can waive that if you have substantive insurance that could cover you for your time. And more information on that is the website. Housing, of course, as housing is not guaranteed, whatever housing you would have to arrange would be at the discretion of your cost. Additionally, I'm not sure in physical sciences, but I do know that occasionally courses may carry like a labs fee or a materials fee, which is based on and that's entirely subject to whichever course that you would want to take. But those are usually very nominal. They're usually maybe 15, 20, 30 US dollars. So it's not going to break the bank. But yes, so those are all I can think of that, maybe some surprise fees that might come up. But yes, other than that, I think we've covered them.
Thank you, Max. And thank you for pointing out that housing on campus is not available for exchange students, but there are resources to help you find housing off campus. And additionally, we have a new light rail system or trolley system that connects our campus all the way to the center of San Diego. So there are more options for housing a little bit further from campus depending on your budget or your price point.
And maybe, sorry, Courtney, to jump in here. Public transport is actually surprisingly good around campus. So if you think of California as the desert of public transport, it is not true for La Jolla and where UCSD is situated. So you can totally get away just by walking or using a bike.
Great. I have a question. Well, just maybe on insurance, actually, for UCSD students, insurance is compulsory in Switzerland. So we have an advisor on campus whom we can direct you to, and he or she will be able to help you to sort out if your insurance is valid, I'm not sure, or if you would have to take a Swiss insurance for your health insurance. So that's compulsory. And housing is guaranteed for UCSD students. I've got a question, I think, for the team of UCSD. Is there some constraints to come to the US as a Swiss student? I heard it was difficult to come to live in America as a Swiss person. If you go through the visa process of student visa, I would imagine it's not a problem.
We have Swiss students on our campus, to my knowledge. I haven't heard anything like that, and I did work in the international students office for some time. The U.S. has sort of just reopened our borders to Europe in general. So if you go through the visa process as a Swiss passport holder, I don't see any reason why you should be denied unless there's something else happening in there. But there's nothing to my knowledge.
Maybe I could just chime in because I'm actually, as you can tell from my accent, not born in this country. I'm from Germany originally. And so I'm quite familiar with that. So there's a 90-day visa waiver, where as a tourist, you can't come for 90 days without a visa. And beyond that, it's pretty much a formality, a very simple thing to do for Swiss citizens. You can easily Google it and do it. I mean, there's no barrier. It's not difficult at all.
Maybe Coralie, for the students that have been to the, I'm sorry if you can hear some noise behind me, but it's quite lively here on campus. So Coralie, I think we have been sending Swiss students to US institutions without problem in the past, right?
Every year. Yeah, it's never been a problem.
So I don't think this should be a problem, but
No.
Damien, maybe if you have more specific questions, you can also maybe contact Coralie if you have a specific question on that. Okay, we slowly coming to an end, so we'll try to get those few couple of questions, and then we'll free everybody, and especially Professor Dyson, because it's 9:00 p.m. here. So thank you very much for joining us at this late time. I'll just see. There are some answers to the question. There's questions about the cost. Is the cost of the program detailed anywhere online? There's no cost of the program except the tuition fees, unless I'm mistaken, or at least on the EPFL side, but not sure what is meant.
So you are going to pay your home tuition fees.
Exactly.
But perhaps for housing at EPFL?
Okay, sorry. So I will show you a link, or I'll put a link with the cost of living. So this is the cost of living. It's the formal cost of living. It's institutionalized. So it's rather, how do I say, largely thought. I've been with some students in some fairs and they've told me, no way I'm spending that much of money each month. But still, this is the formal budget, I would say. In this budget, you have the tuition fees, so you would have to remove that, obviously. Oh, sorry, I send it. I'll resend it to everybody. There you go.
Okay, just really quickly, I think we have one more question for EPFL. I go to UCSD, but I have a French passport. So what are for a French citizen wanting to study in Switzerland, would they still require a visa?
No.
No, normally they should be able to use their French citizenship to come to Switzerland.
Okay, so I think that we're slowly coming to an end, and don't hesitate to contact any of us if you have further questions. We will be happy to, I'm just putting my email in the chat. We will be happy to answer you or to redirect you to the correct person. And I would like to thank all of you for being here tonight, and in particular, Professor Herman and Professor Dyson for taking the time to present to you and their institute, their schools and division, and to answer all of the questions. And also to all of the team at UCSD. It was great co-organizing this common event for you. And yeah, we are very, very happy and excited to launch this new partnership with you, and hope that it will be very successful. So with this, all the best to all of you, and we hope to see you soon on campus.
Thank
Have
you,
a nice day and evening.
Thank
Professor
you.
Dyson.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.